My name is Regan, and I am a member of the linguistics department here on campus. I grew up with an insatiable curiosity about language and cultures and how they interact and how to understand them. To date, I've traveled to 16 different countries. Each country I visit, I'm fascinated by the language and the cultures that I experience there, and it really has influenced my worldview. And you may be wondering how that relates to campus. I want to introduce the idea of linguicism and how prejudice plays into that. Linguicism is judging a person due to their lack of or skill in or lack of use of a language. And prejudice is limited thinking based on your worldview. English is a primary language here in the United States. And when you meet someone who is not fluent in English, how can you relate to those people? How do you make a connection? And I'd like to challenge us to talk about that. Okay, I just have to say the clicker challenges me. It doesn't like me. Okay, linguicism and prejudice. So as I mentioned, I've traveled to many different countries, and I would like to mention here on campus, we have 24% non-white staff and 26% non-white students. This campus is becoming very diverse. How do we address that diversity? How do we encourage tolerance? That tolerance is the antidote to prejudice and linguicism. I fly to another country. You may think about flying to another country. When you buy your ticket, you're hoping to learn something, enmesh yourself in the culture, the language, everything that's different about their country. I know my norms, I know my culture, I know where I'm coming from, but when I arrive there, I have a high level of tolerance and open-mindedness. But perhaps when you're visiting a country really different than your own, you may experience some challenges. And you may decide to go visit the ambassador because they're an amazing resource to know about both cultures and to be able to explain and guide your experience. You speak from your culture, your background, and the ambassador is able to educate you and help you understand and give you tools and experience to go back and enjoy the rest of your vacation with a new mindset. And here on campus, if you think you come back to campus, we have this amazingly diverse population. And maybe a student signs up to take a class where they're going to learn about a new culture. USM is unbelievably fortunate in its teachers. We have French, American Sign Language, and even an Abenaki teacher here on campus. I haven't quite taken that class, but Abenaki, we have a person coming here to bring their culture, their language, their experiences growing up. Students sign up to go to that class to learn about a different culture, something very different from their own. But they may experience a similar discomfort with what they're learning there as we may experience visiting another country. And the staff doesn't have the same culture, share, and experience, and that may lead to challenges. And they may seek a trusted USM staff who, as a resource, how do I deal with this class? How do I do this? And rather than that staff saying, oh, I'll take care of it for you, I'll go talk to that professor for you, I suggest that that professor introduce the idea of tolerance. They present a frame. Well, you've entered a different culture. This class teaches you something that really challenges the things you believe and know from growing up here in the United States. And I recognize that's a challenge, but have you ever thought of becoming an ambassador? Here you have your culture and your Abenaki teacher has their culture. Why don't we think about ways to navigate and educate the student on techniques and give them a new frame to look at the experience on campus here. Build tolerance in the student, and then the student can return to their Abenaki class or their French class or their Spanish class and negotiate the experience in that class and the cross-cultural work that needs to be done based on the advice of trusted members of campus. So not only does the professor, the trusted professor, become an ambassador, but the student learns to become an ambassador, learns techniques to enrich and collaborate on this campus, and this campus can become a welcoming environment in the diversity. You're walking around campus, you know, I see so many people talking, and sometimes they're not talking the same language. Of course, they're not talking my language, but you see it too. But if you take a deep breath, you think about what are they trying to say, and be curious about them, reframe your thinking. This campus is becoming an amazing role model, enabling an embassy to be developed here, creating tolerance and understanding and reframing people's thinking into creating ambassadors. You all can become the bridge, bringing people together, traveling across cultures, back and forth, even here on campus. This is my proposal. This photograph, or this painting, represents the Deaf Embassy. Light and language and celebrating our culture, our use of our hands for communication. A friend of mine, Danny Winship, a Maine artist, painted this. He's also deaf. And this is really a great representation of what we could consider our embassy, a place we can go recharge our batteries and go back out into the world who doesn't use sign language. And imagine this campus, you all create an embassy for all students of diverse language and cultures. Imagine making this the embassy for the 25% of non-white students, 27% of non-white staff. Imagine what we could do, the access we could create, and the tolerance, and to combat the linguicism happening here. What we see, what we thought, what we heard. Are we ready to challenge ourselves to become comfortable with each other and really responsible for the ending of linguicism here on campus? Thank you very much.